Hi, I'm Greg, and this is my review of Zombie 15. Zombie 15 was designed by Guillaume Lemaitre and Nicholas Scholowitz. Sorry for butchering your name. That's apparently just what I do. No offense intended. The general story behind Zombie 15 is that you are part of a band of survivors after a zombie apocalypse occurred where everyone over 18 was turned into a zombie. And so all that's left are random teenagers and youngsters who are fending off trying to survive. Most of the adults, pretty much if not all, have been killed, so there's not many people to research cures and whatnot. And so you kind of band together to try to survive the ordeal. So let's get right to it. So this is what a setup to Zombie 15 looks like. Here I currently have scenario 3 set up, which is in the third scenario in the scenario book, which the game comes with. It's a campaign book. Looks like this, where inside of it it has various scenarios that have special instructions on how to set up, on what items you're going to use, which type of character you're going to use, all the way up to scenario 15, which is the final boss scenario, so to speak, of the initial game. The game comes with a good amount of characters. You have about 8 total. The character sheets are like so. They're pretty big and colorful. They're double-sided. One side has the prologue characters, which you're going to use in scenarios 1 and 2, and the other side has the main game characters, which you'll use in scenarios 3 and above. When you select a character, you also get a corresponding color figure for that particular character. So I've selected Severity and Will for scenario 3. And I took their corresponding characters. Will is red and Severity is blue. The models themselves are very distinctly different, so even if you're a bit colorblind, you can still play this game with the correct models. You might have a little bit of trouble with some of the item cards, but they're all pretty well iconed, so that even if you're colorblind, you can probably get by without really needing to worry about assistance from others, which is a big plus. Each player starts the game at full health, so you take a little tiny, it's really hard to see because it's so small, health marker, and you place it on your starting health, which for Will is 3 and for Severity is 4. Now each character also has a special ability when you're not playing the prologue. Some are harder than others, for sure. Some have bigger advantages, etc., etc. And also they have starting equipment. The starting equipment comes in a separate deck of cards that are double-sided. So you can see here, these include heavy weapons, starting equipment, and you can put those to the side. For these two characters, Will has a customized chain and a revolver. And Severity has a saber, cavalry saber, and a revolver as well, which is the same as Will's. So in this particular scenario, you look up the instructions inside of the scenario book, and it tells you which cards you're going to use for the search draw deck, which in this case uses all of them. So you're going to put that aside in some conveniently accessible location. They have a question mark on the back. This particular scenario uses all of them. You select the zombie cards, which have this on the back, Zombie 15, and they range from 1 to 4 zombies spawning. In this particular scenario, we only use 1, 2, and 3, and we also have 4 horde cards mixed into both into the deck. Initially, you split the deck into 2, and then you mix in 4 horde cards into each deck that you split, and then put one on top of the other. So there's a total of 8 in the deck. We also added some search tokens, which have this on the back. In this particular scenario, they have one backpack which can be used at the end of the session to trade in for special items that you can use if you're doing a campaign mode. Without a campaign mode, they're pretty much useless in this scenario. Then we place the zombies based on the diagram that shows, as well as here's the starting tile and the exit tile over here, which has a exit marker on it. And as you can see from the scenario guide, it's pretty easy to tell how many zombies based on each tile has a 3 marked on it. Also, which is hard to see from the camera, each tile has a number and a letter on the edge there in the gray. One side is B, one side is A. They're actually double-sided tiles, which each side looks different, which is kind of cool. The dotted lines on the tiles, as you can see in this one, where it has the magnifying glass, are search areas, which is considered a different area than the street area where the zombies are. Zombies always spawn in the street area of the location that the player is in. Next, you will put in the CD, which is both the soundtrack, tells you when to spawn, and also plays some music for you to enjoy while playing the game. Also, every scenario has a number for which track you want to play. So in this scenario, you play track 2, which spawns zombies every 60 seconds. So roughly every minute during a 15-minute game, zombies will spawn. When a zombie growl happens, you would then draw the top card of the zombie deck and spawn that many zombies in the street of the tile that the current player, that the current active player is at. So if I drew a 1, which is this guy here, then I would take 1 zombie from the reserve and place it on the street of wherever that active player is. So the zombie cards has a letter, a number, and a thing in the corner. The letter on the zombie cards are used as alternate entry points for zombies in certain scenarios. The number is how many zombies spawn, and they put the street area of the active hero's tile. And then finally, the events can be special events that can trigger per scenario, or there's some basic rules that you'll find that are on page 9 of the rule book that explain what those scenarios do, as you can see here. So those will, like, some will take away health, some will cause you to have to do various things, like let's see, for example, there's a zombie surge, which you place 5 zombies in an adjacent tile. You lose a light object, you lose a health, or you are in a search area and you get scared, so you run out to the street. So there's various small effects that those cards can do, which is, in the most part, pretty cool. So the way the game works is, once you have the board set up and you have the audio tape playing, and you'll start with some scenarios. 1 and 2 pretty much doesn't really do this as much, but in this scenario you put 3 zombies into the horde box, like so. This is what, whenever a horde card is drawn, you would then take all the zombies that are in the horde deck, in the horde box, and place them on the active tile of the hero. So if a horde comes up pretty quickly, not so scary. But if you're using a lot of loud weapons, which I'll get to in a little bit, this can fill up pretty fast, and then it can be pretty overwhelming. So the way the game works is you start your CD when you're ready. It tells you to begin, and every time there's a growl noise, kind of noise, you would spawn zombies. But until then, you would take your turn doing various actions. And the actions that you can do are laid out pretty well in the instruction manual. But basically, you can move, you can search, you can pick up, you can use an object if you have one. You can pick up or drop heavy objects, and you can fight if you have a zombie in your location. You can use an object, or you can pick up or drop heavy objects once again. Also, if you're knocked down, then you have to get back up as your only action that you can take. You also have 4 actions per hero. So basically, when the turn begins, you select who's going to go first. And the first player is the one who most recently ate raw meat, is what the instructions say, but you can pretty much choose it however you want. So if you were going to move, you would look at your character, and so some characters have like restrictions. Like Will here cannot move more than 2 tiles per turn, while Severity doesn't have any restrictions on movement. So you can spend as much action points as you want to move. However, if you're on a tile with a zombie, that's when you cannot move any further, and you'll have to basically fight the zombies, use an object, or wait. So, for example, if Severity was going first, she would move for 1 action. Then she will have to fight these zombies because that's the only action available to her. There are these chits here as well. I kind of wish these were bigger, but I know it's kind of hard to see. But one side has a broken axe on it, and the other side has a bullet. If the object is a weapon that has ammo, you put it with the bullet side on the highest value. So in this case, it's a 2 on the revolver. And if it's not, like if it's a custom chain or a cavalry saber, you put a broken axe on the highest number as well. This represents the ammo and durability of weapons. And as you use them, their durability and ammo will start deplenishing, which is very risky. So now she's in this location. She has the option to either use her revolver or her saber. Now, as you can see from the saber, in the upper top corner on the right, or on the, there's a 3 by a chopped off head, a 3 by the stop, and a 0 at the last icon. The last icon is noise. The top one is how many zombies it kills, and the stop icon is how many zombies it can hold off. So if, let's say, for example, Severity didn't want to move from the spot and didn't want to fight any zombies, because she has a 3 on the stopping, she can actually hold them off for until she gets reinforcements. But there's really no advantage to doing that, since she has 4 action points and she only spent 1 to move. She'll then spend 1 to attack, so you move down your marker to 2 for durability, and she kills all 3 zombies. That's the advantage of the saber. Next, she has 2 actions left, so she might go into the search area, and then for 1 action, she'll draw a card. And so here we see that she acquired an assault rifle. And so you have 2 options when you do a search. You can either do a quick search where you draw 3 cards, or you can do a specific search for a weapon, for example, and look through the discard pile. So she's going to do a quick search, and as we saw, she got an assault rifle, and then she got a sorry, that's 1 deck. Then she got the 1 zombie, and she got a 2 zombie. So this is a pretty bad search. So this is a pretty bad search. So she gets 3 zombies in her search area because that's what these search cards allow. Otherwise, the zombie deck only spawns onto the street. So we place this over here in the discard pile, and she's going to keep the assault rifle and potentially get rid. She can keep the assault rifle and get rid of her cavalry savior if she wants, or she can just discard the assault rifle. Assault rifle has a lot more ammo, but it makes a lot of noise. So she's going to go ahead and swap it out, just because it's a better weapon. And now she has 1 last action, but she's in a room with zombies. She's going to go ahead and use the assault rifle for 1 to kill off these 3 zombies, because the assault rifle kills off 4 zombies but stops 3 of them. Now, the assault rifle has a 1 for sound. So if we look at the card, you can see at the bottom it has a 1. That means that after she uses the weapon to kill them, 1 of the zombies goes into the horde box. As it drew more attention to the zombies. Now her turn is done. Next we have Will. So Will's going to move for 1 and then 2, and then he's going to use his customized chain to kill off these 3 zombies. So that's 3. And he moves into here for 4, and he can't do any more actions because he has used up all of his actions to move into the search area. Now I did make a mistake with Severity where I gave her an extra action by mistake. After she killed the zombies, she should have had no more to fight off, but that's okay. And then basically, so now the next turn happens, and it keeps going. And let's say there was a growl like during this time, I would flip over the card, and here I got a horde card. So the horde card basically causes the horde of zombies to come out of their box and to come onto the streets. So now it's not looking too good for Severity because she has a big horde of zombies. So there's two options. She can come back out of the street and fight them off. So, I mean, obviously that's her only, or she can stay in here and search. So she's going to come out here, and she's going to use her machine gun to kill all 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 goes in the box. So that's 2. Oh, sorry. Also, once the horde box gets put onto the board, you refill it with 3 zombies. Forgot to mention that. Basically, now there's 3 zombies left. So she spent 1 action to move out, 1 action to kill them, and she still has 2 actions left. At this point, she can go ahead and kill the rest of these zombies, or she can just stand here and hold them off so she has 3 on stop and wait for Will to come and assist her. But since we only have 15 minutes, she's going to go ahead and kill off another 3 zombies, putting 1 more in the box. And now her assault rifle is down to 1 bullet. So that was 1 action to move out, 1 action to kill zombies, another action to kill zombies. She still has 1 action left. She's going to move over to here. So now she's in the street with Will. Now Will's turn would happen. He goes 1, 2, etc., etc. Kill off zombies. We'll skip ahead a little bit. And so he goes here. So now Will doesn't have any more actions. So we look at his stop value on his cards, and he has a 3 and a 0. So he's fine, but oh, there's a roar. So then we check to see, oh, 1 zombie spawns. And there's a -1 to health on the card. As you will be able to see from here. It's got the special icon right here. And 1. So 1 goes here, and Will automatically loses 1 health. However, now he's in a room with 4 zombies, and he doesn't have enough stopping power to stop all 4. So they attack him for 1 more health damage, and he's knocked down. And now the next player will go again. So now Severity goes 1, 2. Spends the last assault rifle, kills off these zombies. For 3, put those over there, and then for 4, she'll go into this room to search potentially. Now Will, who's been knocked down, on his turn he has to spend 1 action to stand back up. Otherwise, he can't do anything. So now that he's stood back up, he can then continue on and do whatever he needs to do. His custom chain now is broken, so this gets discarded. Effectively, it's no longer useful. So he would have to, most likely, he'd want to search for a new item before continuing on. So most likely he'd go in here with Severity and look for a new item. He's going to do a quick search for 3, and he gets 3 zombies and a ammo box, which is fine for it because he can hold on to that for his assault rifle, but then 3 new zombies show up. So as you can see, it can get pretty hectic as you're going around the board. Even searching for items is dangerous. You can spend an action. She can pick up this search object, which is only really used in the campaign mode, which then she gets to keep. And as you can tell from the character sheets, she only can carry 2 of those, while Will can carry 3. Also, Will's special ability is that he collects 2 cards when he does a careful search instead of 1, which is actually really useful when you're going through the discard pile. But he can also not move more than 2 tiles per turn, while Severity here has a +1 bonus to fending off, so she would have a stop of 4 effectively with her machine gun, and a stop of 1 with the revolver, because the revolver has a default of 0. Also, she has 4 life points, but she cannot be healed. So, as you see, there's certain advantages and disadvantages, and the idea is that you're going to run around the board, and you're trying to get to the exit in this scenario before the 15-minute timer is up. So it's a lot of like moving forward, sweeping, moving forward, sweeping. So the more players you have, this game doesn't really scale. So if you have only 2 or 3 players, you're at a disadvantage compared to if you play with 4 players. But also you have more turns more frequently. So potentially, time-wise, you're fine. Like 15 minutes for 2 players would be a lot versus 15 minutes for 4 players is really short. So that's just something to keep in mind, that depending on how many players you play with, the biggest difference is how many turns you get before the timer's up. Once the timer is up, it'll play some music, and it'll be very clear that it's time's up. If you've made it to your goal, you've won. If you haven't, you fail. And there's some rules about what to do if you're playing campaign mode for success or failure. And if a character ever reaches 0 health, they are killed and they're removed from the game. Correction. They're not removed from the game, they're just simply unconscious. At this point, another player can come by and pick them up and start carrying them towards the exit. When you do carry a heavy object or a person, it actually covers your weapons. So you won't be able to use your weapons without dropping them first, which is an action to do. There are some heavy weapons and some heavy objects, like there's a machine gun. So when this comes into play, you place it on your character sheet under the red marker, which clearly covers both weapons that you have, which I know is hard to see in the camera. Let me actually see if we can show this better. So as you can see here, there's a red heavy object. So when you have the heavy object, it covers up all the covers underneath, anything underneath it, which is just to indicate that you can't use anything but the heavy object. If you're carrying a person, you're going to want to drop them before you engage zombies, obviously. To use a light object, it counts as an action, and then you use it and you just say what it does. So for example, reload one firearm to maximum ammo, and then you trash the card. Some cards have more than one, light object has more than one use. So like for example, the razor blade can be used to kill a zombie. It's a light object, so it actually goes into your light objects pile. But as you can see, it has slots for 3 uses, while others have only 1. So that's pretty much the general gameplay. There are some scenarios that include more things. So like for example, there are scenarios that have more like these kind of tiles where you have a car or ammo boxes or gasoline that you need to pick up. Some of them have like harder to move, so you have more actions that you lose. Some have noise on them. So if you have a noise tile like this on an actual tile, it means that no matter what you do in that area to kill a zombie, you automatically add 1 to the box. And the game also comes with almost 100 zombie miniatures. Some of them, they're pretty cool. The details are pretty awesome. I actually really like these miniatures a lot. As you can see from this guy, he's kind of a shambling zombie. Then we have a female zombie right here, and then there's a big bag of kind of like bigger dudes. And then for the final scenario, it also includes a alpha zombie who is like the big boss. Takes 25 damage in 1 turn from all the heroes to defeat. So he's really tough. You're either gonna need like multiple single-arm weapons, or you need some really strong weapons. I'm not really even sure how he's able to be taken down, as I have not played that scenario, but I would imagine getting 25 accumulated points with 4 players or 20 accumulated damage points with 3 players or less would be very difficult. So by then you'd hopefully have bonus weapons like cats, or have like light weapons that you can use in combination and stuff. So all in all, that's basically that's the basics of the game. Now, one thing I do want to add in here is that when you do attack a zombie, as long as you have action points available, you can keep using your items. So for example, the revolver, it can be used twice. So if in a room with 3 zombies, I can use my revolver 2 times to kill 2 zombies. And then if you have like a stronger weapon, like an assault rifle, you can use it 4 times potentially to use 16 damage. So the bigger and better the weapon is, and the more times you can use it, the more damage you do altogether. Also, one thing to keep in mind is you can also attack barehanded. When you attack barehanded, you sacrifice 1 life for 1 zombie. So it's not ideal, but if you're trapped or cornered, or you run out of ammo and there's only 1 zombie left and you have plenty of health, it might be the worthy sacrifice basically to eliminate that zombie. So we're going to move on to the conclusion. So that's how Zombie 15 works. So I'm a bit torn on this game. I gave the game a 6 out of 10. Mostly because the game is a little too frustrating when playing with certain players. So for one thing, if a player is taking a long time to take their turn, there's a lot of downtime between turns, especially, but the timer keeps ticking. So if you're playing and someone's just playing slowly because they do analysis paralysis, or they're not sure what to do, or something they were planning to do got all foobarred, like the turn right before, it's like, oh, what do I do? Really can cause a difference between victory and success, which is really not ideal in my opinion. If you're gonna create a 15-minute game, another player's slowness shouldn't totally destroy it for the rest of the team, because that just brings animosity, anger, frustrations, and then you get people who panic, who don't want to play as much, which is why it's a 6 instead of like a 7 or 8. Also, I love the miniatures. They're fantastic, but the one problem with this game is that when you get them all, because you're rushing to constantly grab zombies and mix and match and put them in a horde box, they get kind of tangled up, and you get zombies that are kind of like in weird, like you know, kind of things like this, where and then it's like, yeah, it's not a big deal to take apart, but when you're on a 15-minute timer, that's the last thing you want to worry about. Also, it's really easy to make mistakes because you're rushing through the game. Like, you might put too many in the horde box, or you might forget to put it in the horde box, or you might forget to draw a spawn card because you're not paying attention to the sound to tell you that the spawn card has been drawn, or you put the spawn card and, you know, you spawn the zombies in the wrong place, or these cards, because these things are so tiny, they get knocked off your card. You're like, oh shit, what was it, number 2, number 3? Was it hour 1? And then it's like, oh no, oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna put on whichever one I thought it was. Oh, I cheated. And so there's a lot of tendency to make mistakes. Also, the table gets bumped too hard, or somebody moves something wrong. You could shift the tiles around. So I would recommend putting plexiglass down on top of it, because you really don't have time to reorganize everything. And that's my biggest gripe. Really, is the fact that the 15 minutes makes it really hard to organize, to maintain the board, and to prevent slow players. There's also, I don't really understand the story being teenagers and kids. Like, they don't really seem like it matters. It's not like there's anything unique to the characters because they're a kid versus an adult. So it's just, that's more just flavor text, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with flavor text. You know, they're trying to be creative with the story. That's great. I like creativity, and I like the story. I think the story's fine. I just wish there was a little bit more elements into the game to kind of reiterate that these are young kids. These are teenagers. These are not adults. Like, maybe they can't drive cars as well, or they have weapons, but their weapons are like a chain with 3 wrenches on it. It's like, how does a kid know to make a chain with 3 wrenches on it, right? Or why is a kid able to shoot a machine gun, assault rifle? Or maybe, like, you know, so like having things like that where, for example, like Will, who looks like a little kid. I mean, he doesn't look like a teenager. He looks like a kid who's probably like 10 or 11, versus Severity here, who looks like she might be a teenager, you know, kind of more of a, not an older kid. So maybe like having restrictions, like maybe Will can't handle heavy weapons, for example, or he gets scared when a zombie comes. Like, there's something to add to the fact that they're young, not adults. Otherwise, it's interchangeable, and it's just flavor. So that would have been cool. That would have been a cool addition. Also, the game takes forever to set up compared to how long you take to play. Like, a 15-minute game can take 15 to 20 minutes to even more to set up. You have to go through the cards. You have to pull out cards. You have to set up the boards. You have to look really closely at the boards. So I highly recommend that if you purchase this game, to make sure that when you put these boards in the box or baggies or whatever that you feel is appropriate, that you stack them in numerical order. That way they're easier to grab out. Also, if you're playing scenario-based, that you're doing to do multiple missions back to back to back to back to back to back, you're going to want to reorganize these boards all frequently, and you're going to be putting them out. You put zombies out, and that's really where the game slows down. There's not much they can do about that, unfortunately. That's just the nature of the customizable boards and whatnot. But it was frustrating that we had so much downtime between sessions, and we were very eager to play the next session. We're like, oh, this is fun. Let's do it again. Oh, we gotta wait 20 minutes. Okay, let's do it now. Oh, 15 minutes. Oh, wait, 15 minutes went by. We lost. Okay, let's try again. Oh, another 20 minutes later. Okay, now we be. And so it was like an hour-long game, but we really only played once or twice. So when it's supposed to be a 15-minute game, right? So that's one of my gripes. Another gripe with this game is that the deck of cards, there's no list in the manual about what cards are included in the game, and so the cards don't match. Like, it says here there's like 56 search cards, but when we counted the deck, there wasn't 56. I don't remember exactly how many. I think it was like 58. And then in some of these scenarios, like in scenario 2, it will list, oh, you need the following cards, and there should be exactly like 49 cards. And so when we did that, there was, I don't remember exactly, there was like 48 cards or something, or there was 49, but there wasn't there were certain cards that were like not in there, and so we were like, which cards are missing, and we couldn't tell because there's no list. So having a contents list would have been big help, really big help. Or even better yet, having on the cards themselves the scenario numbers, like like kind of like Escape from Zombie City does, where you have like scenarios 1, 2, 3, whatever, or if it's in all of them, it just says all. So that way we know right from the get-go, okay, there's 49 cards. Oh, there's cards missing. What cards are missing, right? Or and have a number like 4 out of 50, whatever, 5 out of 50. So that way, if there is cards missing, I could easily call the company up and be like, hey, I'm missing some cards. These are the cards I'm missing. Can you please send me some replacements or whatever? But unfortunately, it's impossible to tell if I'm missing cards or not. But the quality, I do want to say, because I know this was a Kickstarter, I think. The quality of the materials, like the boards, the miniatures, the cards, are fantastic. There's really, really high production quality here. I was really impressed and really happy with that. I'm not so happy with these life and durability tokens because they're so freaking small. I found one lying around the floor after we had already cleaned up the game, and because they're really easy to lose. If you have a pet, they might eat it by mistake because it's so tiny. But that's a minor gripe. In all honesty, if there was a way to fix the downtime so that if a player is taking too long, or if you're not sure what to do, you didn't have to waste 15 minutes. It's almost like I kind of wish that there was an app where it would have the 15-minute timer, and you could pause it and like be like, hey, pause. Hey, what's taking so long here? Like, can you speed up your turn a little bit? Or hey, let's strategize a little bit. Hey, this is a safe zone. We've reached a safe house or something like along those lines, where it could just take a step back from the game, because it is a kind of complicated game for something that takes 15 minutes. Versus if they had no timer, this game would have been awesome. Like, you could have made it longer, whatever, bigger maps. It doesn't matter, but without the timer, this game would have been just fine. In fact, I would have probably enjoyed it better without the timer, because then it doesn't matter how long players take, and the board is gorgeous. I mean, the artwork in this game is fantastic. Like, I love the artwork. I love the miniature. So yeah, I'll definitely be playing this again. I just don't think it was as good as I had hoped for those reasons. So thank you again for listening, and hopefully you'll be seeing some more reviews from me. Okay, so welcome to my next section here. So the real question about this game is, does it belong on your shelf? Well, for one thing, if you like the game, that's great. You're going to like the game, you're going to have fun, you'll play a lot. If this was the only 15-minute zombie game out there, I would say go for it. This is a good game, it's fun, it's solid. Mechanics-wise, it's a bit finicky, but overall it's really good. Also, keeping track of turns and keeping track of actions, like a lot of it is memory. Like, you have to be like 1 action, 2 action, 3. Otherwise, it's really easy to do an extra action. There should have been a slider or some mechanic to keep track of that. Also, there's no countdown really, so you don't know when the 15 minutes is going to be up. So if someone's taking too long, you can't be like, hey, hurry up, we only have 5 minutes left. You have to sit there and wait. So if this was the only 15-minute game out there, sure. But if you already have Escape from Zombie City, I would say no. There's no room on your shelf for this game, because Escape from Zombie City, in my opinion, is a much better game for a 15-minute zombie game. Both games have intensity. I mean, this game, you come down to the wire, you're moving fast, you don't necessarily know what time it is, but you're like near the exit. I mean, it is like rapid. People are screaming at each other, they're cheering, come on, hurry up, hurry up. And then like you're kind of rushing through the game, which in some ways is good, in some ways is bad, right? Rushing through the game means you get less time to enjoy the artwork, especially when you spend 20, 30 minutes setting up. But it also means that you have a quicker turnaround time. With Zombie City, setup time takes very little time. I mean, it's just take the tiles, shuffle them, place them in a stack. They're clearly labeled, set up a small board, give people dice, go. So maybe 5, 10 minutes, worst case scenario, 10 minutes. But really it's like a 5-minute setup, pop in the CD, play the game, boom, 15 minutes later, you're done. This game, unfortunately, is not that way, so you can't really bust it out as a filler game or while you're waiting for other people. You have to really dedicate time to this game. Also, with Escape through Zombie City, I feel like there's more diversity in how you kill zombies. It's not just simply like I go up there and boom, I deduct some number and they're wiped out. It's more like I gotta roll dice, I gotta match icons, I gotta get weapon items. I gotta do certain things, like there's grabber zombies. There's lots of variants in the zombies, and they have things like use one hand tied behind your back, can't talk, which makes it super fun. And you still have a 15-minute window. So a lot of times that 15-minute window feels really short, while other times it feels really long. In this game, it always felt very short, which is cool, but it also means that you're not thinking as much. So it's much easier to make mistakes. That's also a big gripe of mine. But otherwise, it's a fairly decent game. But like I said, if you have Zombie City already, don't bother. Unless you really, really hate rolling dice. If rolling dice is not your thing, if you're like, I hate games with dice rolling, they just ruin the experience for me, then yes, go with Zombie 15. There's no dice. It's all card-based. It's all action-based. You'll have fun. If you don't mind dice, then go for Zombie City, because it's a much better game. It's faster paced. It's crazier. It's chaos. It's chaotic, but it's controlled chaos, and that's what I liked about that game versus this game. But overall, I gotta say it's a decent game, and if you don't have very many zombie games, pick up this game. If you have a lot of zombie games, or even have Zombie Escape from Zombie City, no need to spend the asking price. Unfortunately, this game is about $8 retail, and versus Zombie City, which is like half the price. I think it's like 40 or 50. So yeah, I mean, for $80, not really worth it. For maybe if this game was like $50 or less, then I would say, yeah, if you can find it on sale, go for it. Like I said, you'll have a decent time. But otherwise, thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day, great year, and I'll see you later.